This conference will now be recorded.
Fine. Hi guys, good morning. And today what we are going to discuss, let's discuss about the config map and secrets. This is again two more objects in Kubernetes. Okay. I mean, like as this is the tool we are using for what? To add our key value pairs. Let's say environment variables. Okay. Sometime you feel like as you don't want to add this environment variable and like as in Kubernetes pod manifest. Okay, pod manifest means what? Inside the container inside the container of inspect containers. In that we'll need to add the environment section. Those place we add the environment variables. Okay, but if your the container is needed, the container is needed. Now let's say let database name, database usernames, database URLs, any other application URLs. Okay, like as maybe any access keys, secret keys. Okay, tokens. Okay, and then port numbers or whatever, blah 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 blah. All those is a key value pairs for you. But when we use the config map is used for the when we are using a non-sensitive data. Non-sensitive data means there is no any secret key, access key, username, passwords. Means it's a more sensitive. Like as you don't want to expose to others, we can mention in the secrets. If you can, others also can say there is no problem with that value. You can keep it in the config maps. Now let's do that. No, let's create a some couple of config map object. Okay, the different ways of creating config map object the way we use the config map inside the pod manifest. Okay, how to read these values inside the pod using config map. This is a two object. This is the pod is separate again object. Okay, and we are using this is the main our application is running, right? Config map is again one more object. The values are stored in this object, but we need to call this from pod to config map. The same way, secret also same. Secret is a different object. We need to call this object into the pod. Now that I think yesterday we already shown in the couple of example of config map and secrets, right? Now let's connect master first. This is the master node. Now kubectl get config map. If I do, this will become the default namespace. If we do -capital A, it will give the all the namespaces what are the config maps which is available. And if you want to see the file, even you can see this file. Like no, it's not to be like that. Basically, where this file is located, that you need to be understand. Like as we need to go this path in your local, like as maybe val lib user somewhere in this cube root ca.cat. There, I forgot where this file is located. There is a path for this crt. If you want to get that path, kubectl path. Somewhere it is there. Forgot. In your system, it will be there. etc ssl sets cd etc ssl sets, and if you can see here there is a ces certificate.crt, and all these sets are available here. In this here we need to search with the what, let's search lsfnltr. This there is no this not this path actually, there is some other path will be there. This extra stuff like to finding the set in a system where it's located. That is a question. It is there. Even I saw that, but I forgot the path. It is a Kubernetes PKS. Here will be there. CSRT will be there. And API server. This is basically it was CSRT and these certificates will available here. Not sure. Okay, that's fine. This is like normally in the application in after installing your Kubernetes. Now this is certificates are stored in this path. This is remember it's very important even when you go for Kubernetes administration exam. They're gonna use this certificate to create your backup. If you want to take a backup and that time this certificate is this CA key and CRT file is needed. Remember this path. And I'm not sure where it is located. We'll check that later. Fine. Now the next what we do, first of all, let's discuss about this config map. And secret also. Let's check the secret object. kubectl get config map and get the secrets also. Now this is the secret objects or which are available. But this is name. This is the name. Okay, and all this type of the service account token, which is no one can see that. It's an encrypted format, and that's the reason it will be keep it here. Admin user token, TLS control tokens, all these kind of tokens, all are secrets. We'll create our own one and we'll see that how it will be. Okay. The next, what I'm gonna do, let's go for Kubernetes config map document. Let's discuss the config map first. Okay. Now see this. The config map is an API object used to store the non-confidential data in a key value pairs. Pod can be consumed the config maps as environment variables, command line arguments, or configuration files in a volume. Anyways, these are the three options we can use as environment variables, command line arguments, or configuration files. Like as if you want to add the property file in your system, okay, even we can use the config maps to attach this file into your property file. Okay, and the next environment, this is for example, let's say this is your pod, this is the environment variable. You create the config map outside of the pod and we are consuming that. How we can consume this, we'll see the hands-on. Okay, now for example, let's say config maps are creating a different manifest. Now we can create a number different manifest. Okay, now how the, I guess, what are the pods you want, you can create like as the specific configurations here. Contains the development values, contains the production values, like whatever based on your configuration files. A config map is not designed to hold the large chunks of data. The data stored in the config map is cannot exceed the 1 MB. This is a very important to remember. The file size should be not more than 1 MB. If you need to store setting that larger than this limit, you may want to consider mounting the volume or use the separate database for file service. The separate database or file service. If you want to store the more than this 1 MB. Even this also interview question they're gonna ask. What is the maximum size of your config file we can store? So not more than the 1 MB. If you want to use more than 1 MB, either we can use the file service or you can mount the volume or you can use the like as any other file services. Now let's say in the config maps we can create a three ways. One is from literal, okay, and then another one is the file from directory. In a one directory you have the multiple files. Even you can keep it all the files into one single config map object. Either like a single file you want to make it as a config map object, you can do, From literal means through command line, like as you know, we can create that command. How we can see? Let me show that. For example, use the kubectl create config map command to create a config map from directories, files, or literal values. What is the command we are using? Kubectl create config map. Kubectl create config map. Now this is, let's for example, let's say this is the config map kind. Okay, this is like simply we can mention the literal. We can mention the properties, and these properties, if you want, wherever you want, you can use this. As of now, I'm mentioning the here. Let me create the config map object. One second, yes. Okay, this is a different types, right? Okay, if you want to directly create as an object, we can use this object, config map object. If you want to, as an object, if you want, you can do this. Now let me VA the next config map YAML. This config map kind is above is there. That's fine. Anywhere we can keep it, guys. Okay, it's not a mandate to keep it this here. Okay, we can keep it above or below. It will work. It will work. Let's see it works or not. First of all, no, this is the V1 API, and then this is the metadata. Is that name is that example config map. The namespace is default. Even if you're not mentioning, also by default is the namespace only. You don't need to mention the default namespace that you are wish. Okay, if any other namespace you want to mention, that namespace you need to keep it this. That you should remember. Another one is the next data section. It's very important. Let's say system.data.name, app name, and the URL, and then system.data type, type one something, data value something. Either we can give the key value pairs like this. Values is stored the key value pairs, or as a file. If you want to keep it the one file, all the values you can keep it this way. Two ways I'm just explaining this way. In the data section, either you want to create as a file and then store the multiple values, or else you can keep it the key and value for different key and different values in the data section. You want to create as a file or as a key value pairs. Both can be possible. Both can be possible in the config map object. Let's see. Then kubectl. If you return this manifest file, you need to use this, this config map. Sorry, MPA is right. Okay, that's fine. Just rename this file for meaningful main map. Okay. Now, if you see that kubectl get config map, don't mention hyphen here. If you can observe, this is the config map which we created. This is the config map we created. Now kubectl describe config map and the config map name. If we can see this, now what are the section, what are the values we set up, we can see here everything. Now the system.data value is 3. System dot these properties, right? Entire properties we set up. This is the one file, one value, and data name. This is the one. Data type one is this is the one. URL is this is the one. Okay. This is the what are the data we mentioned. We can see here now. We can see when you describe this object. Okay, this is the where if you want to create as a ML file, and you want to specify this your values, and you can key value pairs, we can create like this and we can apply it. Or else you have a already some key value pairs already existed as a file, as a command line, as a literal, let's say as a file, as a directory, as a literal. There is a different ways. Then how we can do that? Okay, this is a normal, like as using config map object to create, I mean, like as the config map object syntax and creating the way of config map. And if you have the files, okay, if you have the command line, using that you want to create, we can use a kubectl create config map, those command we are using to create a config map. Let's see the different types now. Different types are available. Let's see that. Now see, create a config map from directories. Okay, like as how we can do this. Now create a one directory here, any directory, one folder. As of now, see here, I don't have that directory. I'm creating one directory here. And the next, what I'm gonna do, I'm downloading some file, some internet, this game.property, which is given by the Kubernetes guys. Okay, even if you want to know that what is the values here, just go and see this. It will download, show in file. Now this is the values. Clear? These are like values which is available by the given by the this file. Now those values I'm keeping into the here as per my here. I'm downloading and keep it into inside this folder, and file name is the game.properties. I'm downloading and keep it into this folder, config map example, the config map example, and then this is the file name game.property. Okay, now see this, that is a one, and create one more property file. There is a UI.property. There is a two files I'm downloading and keep it into this folder. And cd, go for the config map example folder, and see these are two files are created, and open these files, what it contains. This is the properties contains. Simple, the file contains the property files. Instead of creating myself, I downloaded from internet. Is clear now? Based on your requirement, you can create your own names, like as application names, application environment name, bu name, let's say health check status, health check url, all those kind of. Understand, guys? This is for my application. This is the needed properties. I'm gonna create something like, some car game. That the game application needed this kind of properties. That's that UI level. This is the colors I need to be update. Maybe this will be changed for later. Then I can use this object and I can re-update for multiple times whenever I need it. No, just they mention as a property instead of putting it directly in the code. Clear, guys? Understand na? What I did? Just simple. Create a one folder, direct downloading two files. That's it. Nothing I did. Nothing I did. Okay. Then I didn't create it till now any config map object. Okay. Now these two files we can see. And how we can do, if you want to create a, see, when you're creating a config map using directories, the most important fact is you have to correctly define the key value pairs within each file. Okay, the properly should be there in the config, files. Now let's create a, using directory, I'm creating a config map. Now if I create this config map, in the config map name is the game config example. The config map name is the game config example. kubectl create config map name from file. Now this directory we can keep it this. Now how many files are there inside the directory, guys? Two files are there. Now for two files, what is the config map object? This is a config map object. Enter. Sorry, I am inside the directory. There is no directory in that path actually. Come out from the directory and then clear, guys. Clear now. Now let's see what command we used. kubectl create config map and all. Let's get the config maps now. If we can observe here, what is the config maps are created here now? Earlier we have the one. This is the one which we created through the YAML file, and this is the config map which we just created. Clear, guys? Each file is the one data here. Each file is the one data. Two. Okay. Earlier it was 4 properties, one file, right? Totally it was the 5 data here. And if you describe here, kubectl describe config map name. Now we can see this is the data and this is the one, and this is the another one. How many files are there? That is the that much data it is there. Clear? This is the one way to create a from directory. How many files are there? All files we can create a one object, one config map object. That is the one option. Okay, understand, guys? From directory how we can create a config map object. The next option, what we do, this is very very important, guys. Okay, this the creation of this config map very important, and this is what we already did. And even if you want to see as a YAML file also, you can see this YAML file output, JSON file output, even JSON. If YAML file either JSON output, that is common syntax it is. If you want to, can see. Now you can see this is the game properties, this is UI properties. Kind is a config map metadata. Okay, the next. Fine. Then create a config map from files. It is also same. Okay, this is also same. What I'm going to do, I'm going to do the exact file name. Inside the directory, there is a game.properties, right? I'm going to give that game config example 2. There is a one more config map object, but this is only one file I'm specifying right now. Earlier, even the directories also -f from file option only. Even specific file also -f from file option only. Earlier, we give the complete only directory. Inside the directory, how many files are there? Those many data objects will be stored in this specific config map object. Now tell me, if I do this, how many data objects will be created for this config map? 1 or 2 or 4 or 5? Like how many values are there? That many? Tell me, guys. I created this and do the get the config maps. If you can observe here, how many? Only one, because we specify the only one file. And if you want to create one more file, that you can use the like UI dot. This again one more. If you want to get the file name, you need to get what is the files names are available. ls -ltr of config map example. Okay, this UI dot properties. If you want to create that, you can create that also. Let me create this. Let's give the 3. Now see this. Get the config maps. Now this was 3. You know, from directory and the separate files. Is it clear now, guys? Is clear now? Like as we created a 3 config map objects with the using files and directories. Okay. Now if you want, you can describe that. This is the whatever values it is there. If you describe the 3, is the UI properties data section. Okay. The next, we can define -" from file argument multiple times in a create a single config file using the several different files. Even this this is a different option. Okay, like if you have the multiple files and the multiple different paths, even we can do the one single object. You mentioned the -" from file in the multiple times here. Understand, guys? No, directories also we can create. Either we can give the multiple from file. It's the same path, let's say. If you have the different paths or the files are different paths, even we can create all this into the single object using the different -" from option we can use multiple types. The same way in Docker build command, we are using a build -t, different tags we can create, right? The same way. From file option, we can use the multiple times. That's it. How many files you have, how different paths you have, we can create that. That option is there. And then another one is the environment variable. This is the files and directories. This is the files and directories. And one is the environment variables. Let's see how we can create the environment variables. Let me download the another one more file. What I have downloaded now? Config map example. And then game env file.property. Cat. Now this is just one more file. In this folder is got created. We downloaded. That is the another file is that this is one. This is the new file. This is the new file. Okay, earlier it was only two. Now it's created one more. This value. Okay. And the next cat config map, we already did this. And if you want, you can create a config map with this path from env file. From env file, if you can see from env file that you can describe also like from file or from env file. Just you can create this. Config maps are created. Now check the config maps here. See the difference actually. Get config maps. And from file we created what is the here. Now if you can observe here, earlier we create a from file. What happened, guys? What happened in the data objects here? What every file is the one object here. See the difference actually. Understand, guys? Understand or not? See the difference. -" from file means entire file is the one object, one data object. Now if you see here, this is also one file, but it's a data objects are how many it is showing? 3. Why? Each key is the one environment. Each key is the one environment. And if you can observe here, even though these properties are mentioned in the UI. Okay. And here this is the all properties is 1 2 3 4 is mentioned, but if you can observe here, either here only 1 showing this because the two files 2 it will showing, but here when you use the -" env from file, now it will treat it as a every line, every key value pair is the one data. Understand? Let's describe this. Describe this. Describe config map name, config map name. Okay, and let's enter. And you can observe here data. This is the one key. This is another key. This is another key. Observe here. Observe here. the difference between the -f1 from and -f1 env from -f1 file, -f1 from -env file, from file -f1 from -env file. See the difference. Clear, guys? Okay. The next, what we do, let's see here. Even this is we already done. Even if you want to can print as a YAML file format also can print, and you can see that, see the data. Okay. Like as create a config map from a file within a predefined key. Now, even though we can mention like as this file, and we can give the one key and then that properties. I mean, we can assign a one key for that file. This is the one key, and this is the path of the file. This file we define a one key here. This option. So if you want to read the data inside your pod, we can use this key. We can use this key. Now let's enter this. Now this is game config key example created. And if we can get the config maps, now you can see key example. It's a one-to-one object. It's also same. If you describe this, it's also same. Even just we can define a key. Just one key here. Key equal to again that file name. And from literal, how we can create a literal here? Let me show that. Literal means what? The key values from directly from command line. Here, create a config map example values, config example values from literal. This is the key and this is the value. From literal, this is the key, this is the value. From literal, this is the key, this is the value. Clear, guys? Like as instead of keep it in the file, just we can pass as the command line arguments also. That we are calling as a from literal. From literal, -f from file, -f from -env file. These are three options which we are using right now. Clear, guys? All like as all the scenarios I'm explaining actually, where whatever we want, we can use in real time. This is a four method I showed. Okay, one is that the writing YAML file. The second one is option is that keep it in the directory. All the files you can create or a specific file and then environment file. And another one is that from literal. But this is not a good option actually. From literal is not at all good actually, because in the future if you want to use this, if you run this, it's kind of Ansible add comments out there, right? It's kind of it. Understand now? This is not a recommend approach actually in the real-time scenarios. Okay, the next what you do, utilizing this config maps in pod. How we can utilize this config maps inside the pod? Let's see this. Okay, one file. Let's create a one file here. Testing config map, and we will create a config map named app. Now let's create this whatever you want. Okay, can be using the above file and using the from option, from file option. I'm creating a one config map option. No, app basic config map. Okay. Okay, I didn't create inside that. I'm creating outside of this folder. As for the document inside that folder I created, but this file I created outside of that folder. That's fine. Anything is fine. Okay. Now I'm gonna use that output as a YAML file format. We can see this. Now here as a file, it will treat it as a file. These two values is there inside the file. Clear, guys? Now let's see that how we can use this inside the pod. This is our real example. Like as you know, how we can use this values, this config map, how to consume this config map object values inside your pod. Yes or no? That is what we need, right? Just creating a config map is not a meaningfulness. Now, how to use this config map to get these values to inside our pod? That is what exactly real use case, right? Let's implement that. Let's create a object. Guys, following me, right? Okay, let's see how we can use. See here, the section is important here is here. The section is important from here. Environment from config map reference, name of config map. What is that? Environment from config map reference, the name equal to this is. What is this name? Our config map name. Our config map name. Our config map name. How we can do? Environment from config map reference, that name of the config map. The name of the config map. Clear? Or else env colon, then key values we can declare here also if you need it. Or else if you keep it all the values and keep it in the one file, and then you can use here. What are the values are the 10, 20, 30 values? All those values come from that. It will read from the that file. That object contains the file. That file contains the two values. Those will be read. Understand, guys? Understand, right? Now what I'm
Yes, sir.
gonna do? Let's save this. Oh my God. Okay. So leave say yes or something. Okay, the next what we do, okay, my file name is different now. I use a different file name here. Okay, what file I created? What file name, guys? Pod config map example. Now it's created, and get the pods. In the pod, what we have done, pod config example, right? This is the one. This is the pod. Even if you inside the name of this pod is called as, that is the pod. Even if you open this, what is the name? This is the one. That is the one. Is this? This is the one. This is. And what to do? Let's check the logs. Why these logs will printing? Now what I've written here, I'm getting the env. Now what is env? If I enter the env command inside my system, all it will show what are the environments in my Linux machine. Yes or no? Yes or no? Right? The same way, what I'm writing here, I've written here one pod manifest. Inside this pod manifest, I'm getting this env. I'm getting this env from this image, this busybox image I'm running. Okay, and I'm making that container name is this, and I'm executing a one command, that is a env files I want to get. What is the env files are there? This mission, this busybox, those will be print in the console output. That console output you want to print, what you need to use, you need to get the logs. You need to get the logs, and you can get the all the things here. There's a many things we'll get here, whatever it is there for your level. But inside this, what we are set up, we have set up for two objects only. What is the two objects? I think this is a two, right? Yes or no? Cat. What is that? What is the file which we created? This is app basic. These are the two values, right? These are the two values. One second. One second. Which is the reference we used? kubectl get config map. Whatever we adding that, now this is the names, and cat, what is the app basic config map, app basic config map, app basic config map. This is the one. Control A, keeps it here. Describe. Now these two values, right? And do this logs and system dot type and system dot number. And what it is that system dot type, this is the file name basically. This file, this entire file is keep it, and then this is the values are available here. Inside this, values are available here. That file equal to these values are stored here. Clear, guys? Understand, no? And if you read as a that if you whatever you created, like as -- from file or - from literal, whatever you created, that object you give, that - from -env file, that what are the values are there, all the values will be read. What I mean, if you mention like as this one, game config env file, now if you mention this name won't become in that case. It will give the like all the these three values. What are the values of that? Those three values will come. We'll see that. Understand, guys? Understand? See this. Now let's another example. Even we can create a config map objects here. Application logs config map object here. These are real scenarios. Okay, like real config maps in real time, like which we're gonna mention. And let's apply this to and then use this config maps into your real application. No specific keys you want to read, you can read the specific keys. We'll see this. If you, for example, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use same object here. Remember this name. I'm using this name. I'm going to give this busybox1. This also pod1. Okay. Just save this and apply this. Get pods. What it is? It was, this is the one. Now kubectl logs. If you do this and do this, what are the values you set up? One is that this different places is here is the one value, here is the another value, this is here is the another value. Understand, guys, what I mean? Now let me open the config map, describe, get config map, describe. Now what we do, we are making this is the shortcuts in real-time scenario. Okay, I'll show you that how we can make it the shortcuts. Config map, where is this one? Are you? Got stuck, man. Come on fast, Papa. Describe spelling mistake. Now, if you can observe here, these three values, right? One is that allowed, enemies, aliens. Sorry, enemies, and then lives. If you can describe this, logs. See here. One is that lives, enemies, and all. Here is the allowed. See, this is the three keys are there. Now, in this, the allowed, enemies, lives. Earlier, what we do, it will create a file, and then that file. If you can observe here, another one. That file equal to this key and this value. See the difference both. Hyphen from file and then hyphen from env and file. Both options difference. Understand, guys? Understand, no? Now, if you mention as a file and that the file name also will become as a env value and then this inside the key value paste. And if you use the hyphen env here, if you attach the entire file, then this is a good option. If you attach the entire file, this is a good option from file. If you want to each and individual value you want to read, then this is env file is a important option. Understand, guys? This is the environment variable we set up. Okay, this is config map environment variables you want set up. Okay, the next another example, real example. Let's see the real example. Let's see. Okay, there are many examples I've written. Okay, let's create this YAML files. It is simple YAML file. Now here instead of keep it a file, I'm mentioning the data section. The data section I keep it the key value paste here directly. Okay. Nothing else here. No critical stuff here. It's a simple. Save this too. And the next is kubectl create and then this we added example. Let's create example pod. Ayo, in second. And this is one real scenario. Okay. Now you want to read the specific key. Okay, let's say for example, secret names, username, password, something you want to read from the env value. Now you create two config maps. Okay, that is the config map here, env. Okay, the name, this is the key you want, and the value you don't know. Value you need to get from read from the config map. This is the config map name. That is the inside the config map this key. If I call this key, what is the name is for app.type? What is the key value will come here? App.type. What is the app.type is what is it will come? Test application. The test application will come. Application type is the test application. Application UI type. No, UI type is the web, and this is the one app UI. And the another one is the log level. Log level. If you see the log level, then this is another key using the warning. Now that is the this is the different config map name. This is the application config map. This two is coming from this config map. This is coming from the different config map. Now, even if you want to read the specific keys inside your container, this is the way we are going to refer. Understand, guys? Env, the name, the value. Clear, guys? Understand? Now, what is the values will be assigning for this right now? Only those three values will come. Now, either from there, three and these totally five values are there, right? If I mention here how many values inside this, you declare the 10 properties. Inside the 10 properties, you want to only two, not all, let's say. Understand now? Now you can call this way. That specific key, what are the key you want, what are the value you want, not for entire string. Understand, guys, what I mean? Now this is very, very important. Okay, let's deploy this. kubectl apply -f and then what happened? Manifest is not correct syntax. va example.pub. Why, man? Metadata specs container name. Just remove this. And that's the only, it won't restart multiple times. Like, once you stop, then it won't restart this if I mention this option. This is same now. To just mention this is also 2. What I'm gonna do, let me remove others here. Only let's keep it only one, like anywhere. busy box correct, right? This name, image name, something issue is coming. Why it's coming like this? Save this now. It was created. Something, some space issue. Okay. Anyways, what I'm gonna do? Let's see this. We deployed, and let me use the multiple again. Okay. Here. Let's copy this. Let me try. Okay. Setup. From this restart policy should be start from the container. Let me try again. Somewhere in the other objects, like here, somewhere the key and value, some may be attached. Anywhere spell mistake, any key, anywhere this case. Value from config map reference, name, key. What I do, let me remove and let me try to make a different names here. Let me try 3. Let me 3 here. Save this and let me apply this. It was created. The maybe naming names are wrong. That's fine. Okay, now this 3 is created. Now the 3 is created. Now get the pods. kubectl get pods. Get pods. Okay. Now this pod 3 is created, and let's see kubectl logs of this pod. Get this 3. If you can observe here, the values which log level we got. Okay. And another option, what are the options we used? One is the log level. Another one is the application UI type. Application type here, test application, application UI type. Application type, application UI type. So where is the application UI type? You can find somewhere application UI type. Here, last. Now these 3 values we got, right? Means it is simple. In entire, like you create a multiple map, Kubernetes map is there, but you want to read the specific, key, then this is the option we are using inside from the pod manifest. Specific key and then value from, the config map reference, the config map reference name, and the key name equal to that key, whatever we specify. Understand, guys? No, this is very important. And then in this configuration, we are mapping the environment variables values for each config map. The following basic section of the mapping value in the environment section, the YAML file, the variable and reference config map reference, all those. This is done. This is we get done. And the config map define the environment variables in a pod commands. Okay, config map define environment variables in pod commands. Yeah. In case if you want to read, you can print these values. You can print using the dollar application type, dollar application keyword type. That is simple. Nothing else. You can get this way. The same example, but if you want to print in instead of only all environment variables, only specific only you want, then you can mention this. Now earlier in the env means what happened? It's all environment will come now. If you want to get only that two, you can use this. That is the simple. And here these are references, guys, multiple references. You guys can be get this.
Uh, Sir, I heard one doubt. Can I ask?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, can we integrate a world for this also? My world?
Yeah, yeah, obviously. That's what even we use in real time.
Yeah.
Well, actually, we are storing this sensitive data. Okay, not config map, sensitive data. I mean, like as you know, HashiCorp Vault we are using. There we are storing all the keys, security keys, the database username, database password. Okay, we are using that. This vault, what we are doing, we are using as init container. Okay, the init container, what it will do, it will get the values from the Kubernetes. Okay, instead of config map reference, right? We use the init container that will be initialize the vault, and like as it authenticate the vault, it will get the vault from the specific name. That what the name we mentioned the application name. That is the same name in our vault actually. Clear? We give the complete path of the vault. Where is the vault is located? HashiCorp vault. Clear? Like as why we need init container again? You want to authenticate the vault, right? Or else how it will be? You need to log in the vault, right? Basically. To authenticate that, we need to run as a init container the vault actually. The vault will be the init, it initialize the vault and then those will be get the values from the vault. That is the one we are using. And the next is you asked the one question, right, Srikanth? Now that coming to this, you asked the question like regarding the monitoring. The monitoring, how you are gonna set up for monitoring, what are the problem you're facing, what are the challenges you are facing. See, first of all, any questions, okay. This is not a like a subject question. This is like as you know what you have experienced. Understand what you have experienced. If you are not done, then basically they ask this question means they are facing this kind of problem. They are not unable to finding the solution for this kind of problem. Let's say. No, you guys can be convince them like we had previously using the different mounting tools. We are lagging this mounting tool. The sending the logs that log format is not getting properly, and that's the reason we are recently analyzed with the let's say like a Prometheus and Grafana, and because of it's a very fast, it's a key value page store, and we have the very high level query language which is available Prometheus query language. Okay, and then we are creating multiple like as look and feel good for Grafana charts like as inbuilt Grafana templates are available. Okay, and those you like first tell the problem statement. The previously we are not properly aligned the mounting system. We are not getting the log format is not clearly getting from the data, and tell them. Now after that we sit to the developer, and developer is not sending all the logs properly to the application, is not printing proper logs. Like it means proper required one. Let's say keys, starting time, ending time, application name. Okay, like those kind of like whatever the log format you want. Okay, those is not properly arranged, and we need to tell. We already discussed with the developer will be printed in the proper format. Okay, on those things we are discussed. Okay, we are implemented. This kind of answers we need to tell them, like is that is correct or not. He is not come and then check, right? Now whatever you are giving this answer is the correct, but the way you need to convince them, that is the answer.
No, no,
That
my,
is
my, my point is like, see, they're asking theoretical, like, means it's like experience based, right? So I'm expecting like what in general issues
this is
we'll face
what
in common issues.
this is what I'm saying, that common issues means that is that is no one can be predict that it, common issues means you may face this is what actually what happened. I don't have a mounting system previously. Like previously
Yes,
we are not getting the proper data, like as you know 5xx errors were getting. That is not configuredly proper for previously the system. Okay, 500 error, it's not throwing properly, like as it's not printing properly. Okay, this is not getting the logs in the system, the logging system not getting those information. Understand now what I mean? Now those things is the problems. Those things we can solve with the discussion with the developer and the printing the proper log format. Those data we can send to the logging architecture or mounting architecture. Understand that? This is the problems we faced.
okay, sir.
Means like simple how we can converse them, right? Because the previously we have the problem with this, like as any application go down. Okay, let's we are not getting a proper graphs are not available. Okay, what is the problems we facing means like if we don't have any this logging and mounting system, we facing a problem. And getting the data means that should be aligned by the proper format of logging, proper sending the logs, okay, and the proper tools we need to use to get the data, and proper queries we need to mention the data to get the exact data. Understand? Those kind of things is not there. We need to troubleshoot. We need to get the exact query, exact values, okay, and exact alerting system we need to configure. Those we need to be fixed. Understand, no?
Yes, sir.
Is it answer your question or is still confused?
No, no, sir. Got it.
No, as simple as that, dude. Okay. You need to take a problem statement. Okay. What is the problem? Let me exact question you asked. This is the one, right? One second. What is that? Challenges in provisioning, configuring, and monitoring.
Yes, sir.
Is asking Terraform and then configuration management tool monitoring. All these three environments. Say them like like a provisioning means say that no when we are first, okay, first level is that previously we are doing some manually creating from UI. People are like to deleting the resources to set up the same environment, it taking a long, that's what the problem with the UI, right? It taking a long time to set up, and if we want to destroy that environment again each and individually we need to delete the rest, the specific services in AWS, whatever cloud we are using. And if you make a automation in a single command, we can create, we can single command we can destroy it, that we saw in the Kubernetes level, right? That is the problem, we can say that. And the second thing is configuring, like as to installing multiple servers, the same software you want to install multiple servers. Earlier we do manually, okay, and then we using Ansible to make it this possible to within a like as multiple servers, multiple nodes we are managing, okay, and we can say this. That is the problem statement. This is the solution. And the monitoring level, this is the like. I thought only monitoring question you asking. Its entire infrastructure level. Say them what is the problem we had from without provisioning infrastructure problem and configuring infrastructure problem and the monitoring setup. Let's say we don't have a proper monitoring setup alerting system and we are using choosing these tools, so on so tools, Prometheus and Grafana, and then any logging framework, let's say any Elasticsearch or Kibana or something to store the logs and then filter the logs, indexing the logs, or those things. You can explain this method this way. Clear now? If you understand the concepts of our Kubernetes, like as Terraform, Ansible, the problem statement of before these tools, how the people are doing. If you remember the first class, I'm gonna show you the what is the problem statement of if you not don't have Ansible, if you don't have a Docker, if you don't have a Kubernetes. And I say the first the problem statement of the without that tool. Then after that we go ahead for what the next discussing about the tool, right? The same.
Yes, sir.
You need to convince them, properly explain the problem statement without these tools. we can convince them, like, using these tools, we can make it possible, these problems, like that.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Fine. Okay, guys. Then see you on guys, tomorrow we don't have a class. Okay, and then see you on the next secrets is not done. We'll discuss on the Tuesday session. And yes, and next 5 days we don't have any classes, guys. Prepare well. If you have any questions, any concerns, okay, just keep all your questions. Okay, maybe okay, I may not respond for next 5 days. Maximumly, okay, I'm going my village. Okay, maximum I won't have my phone with me. In case if I have available, I'm free. Definitely, I'll give response for you guys. Okay, fine.
So next Monday only next class, sir.
Tuesday.
Okay, okay, sir.
Okay, guys. See you then. Bye.
Happy Pongal, sir.
Yeah, bye. Happy Sankranti, guys, everyone, and happy holidays also. No long week, right? Let's enjoy. Bye, guys. Bye. Bye, guys.